eternity, infinity, never-ending, billions of years. If you find these concepts hard to really wrap your mind around, you're not alone. I feel the same way. If I live to 150, which seems ridiculous and has never been done before by a human, my life would still not even be a blip in the greater scheme of the entirety of all existence. And to think that as much change as I've seen in my life and still have yet to see, there was once a time, billions of years ago, that not even the soil beneath our feet was where it is today. In today's video, we are going to do a supersonic fast version of how life came to be. Or, more accurately, how it evolved and how long it took to evolve to where it is today. Because how it all got started, well, we don't know. There's a lot of good theories out there that are currently being investigated, but we just don't have the evidence to reason a clear argument. What evidence we do have, though, tells us that life formed approximately 3.8 billion years ago. And how do we know that? Rocks. Or more specifically, rock layers. See, take a look at the Grand Canyon. You can clearly see the different layers of rock. The reason why you can see those layers is because they are actually different types of rock. Different types of rock that form under different kinds of situations that are no longer around today. For example, shale and limestone only form in deep, quiet waters you're not seeing there anymore. Sandstone usually forms close to moving shores, water moving past land, but not quite underwater. But there's no water or shores or anything anymore. Also, in addition to the rock layers, other pieces of evidence for how long life took to form and when it formed is fossils, preserved remains of once living things. As scientists dig through the layers and notice the types of fossils in one layer are very different organisms, living things, than in other layers. This allows scientists to date and name each layer as a specific time period in Earth's history. But how do we know how old those fossils are? To understand the answer to that question, first understand that all living things are made of carbon. Other elements too, and that's useful, but carbon is the one element that all living things have in common and all living things have the same amount of. Something that is true about carbon is that once a living thing dies, every almost 6,000 years, half of that carbon's mass will become nitrogen. Then, and almost 6,000 years after that, half of what was left over then will also become nitrogen. And then in almost 6,000 years after that, and after that, and after that, more and more of that carbon will turn to nitrogen until about 60,000 years is about as old as we can use carbon dating because we run out of carbon. We don't run out, but it becomes so little it's hard for us to measure it. But we do have other elements that we can use to date things that are much older than 60,000 years. But carbon dating is an easy thing to think about because the number is a little smaller and it's something that's true about all living things. So by measuring the amount of carbon in the fossil and comparing it to the amount of found in living things, we can estimate how old that fossil is. But why is it so many living things that used to live on Earth do not anymore? The answer to that could fill an entire year-long class all by itself. But one of the most important change events that's ever happened are mass extinctions. When a species goes extinct, there is no more of it, and there never will be again. when a mass extinction happens, many species go extinct all around the same time, caused by changing conditions on Earth. Weather, meteors, comets, whatever. And when I say many things going extinct, I mean many. I'm talking 75, 86, as much as 96% of all living things on the planet gone forever. That's almost everything wiped off the face of the planet. That's a mass extinction. The good news is that, to the best of our knowledge, it's never been 100%. And that remaining percent, those last lone survivors, get to take over and determine the future evolution of all life, because they're the only life left to evolve from. At least, anyways, until the next mass extinction happens, knocking them off the face of the planet, and then a new form of life gets to be on top.